Hey lovelies, welcome back to another sewing tutorial and you're welcome back to the channel. So guys, today's tutorial is going to be about the recreation of this very beautiful ruched shoulder with a basque line dress. As you can see, it has fullness by the chest line, it has fullness also at the lower part of the dress, and you can see that it's looking so nice. So guys, if you are ready, don't forget to subscribe, like. If you have any question as you go by, please do also drop it in the comment section. And if you are ready guys, let's just get into the video. For this, we'll be drafting both the back and the front pattern together. The front has an overlap extension, mark 4 inches first for that, and we'll rule it out. So that place is going to be the center front, the ruled out line. We'll go next by placing the length of the sleeve. It's a Dolman sleeve that is cut together with sleeve, and for this we'll be using about 13 inches, placing the underbust measurements, which is 12. Then we'll add half inches seam allowance to that. Then we'll rule out 12.5 inches. The half length is 15 inches. Then we'll rule it out. The basque line will be ending 7 inches from the half length, and the full length of the dress plus the hemming allowance is 39 inches. The underbelt circumference measurement divided by 4 is 8 plus 1 inch seam allowance. The waist measurement divided by 4 is 7.5 plus 1 inch seam allowance. From the half length, go down by 1.5 inches. Then we extend the measurements into the half length. So we go inward by 1 inch, which is our seam allowance, the hidden seam. Then from there, we go ahead to draw the basque star line, and it's going to connect down to the 7 inches in which we have marked out. The hips line is 10 inches from the half length. We'll rule that out. Then we'll place the hips measurement divided by 4, which is 10 plus 1 inch seam, that is 11 inches. We're going to connect that back to the half length, and also at the hem of the dress, we will also be using the 11 inches measurement did for the hips line. The neck width for both the front and the back is 3 inches. We go down by 1.5 inches at the sleeve hem. Then we connect the shoulder slope back to the neckline. From the shoulder, we'll mark 9 inches for the sleeve opening, and this also includes the seam allowance. Then we connect it back to the bodice measurement. We go ahead to mark the 13 inches for the sleeve, then we rule it out. Having done that, we add 1 inch allowance to the hem to tape in the sleeve hem, just like the way it's appearing by the camera. The next thing to do is to rule out the neckline. Remember, we are drafting both front and back together. The neckline for both the front and the back is a V-style line, but for the back is not going to be extending to the 3-4 inches in which we mark outward for the extension for the front. So the back is going to be ending directly at where we marked out for the center front. Then we are going to just connect the V-style line for the back. Then having done that, the front, we are going to go outward with about 3.5 inches. That is going to be for the front extension, and we are going to connect it back to the neck width with a V-style line. So having done that, the next thing to do is just to cut it out. So it's going to be a 3 segments. First, we go ahead to cut the upper part all the way to the extension. Then when we fold it, we can get our back. Then having done that, we cut out the middle part where the basque will be ending. Then we go ahead to cut the lower part. So for us to get the fullness at the upper part, we are going to be slashing and spreading it out. So for us to do that, first, we are going to be dividing the lower part equally. So we'll be considering about 1.5 inches apart for that. We are going to go ahead to mark 1.5 inches at various points, just like the way it's appearing by the camera. So having done that, at the upper part, we'll be considering 2 inches because the upper part is less wider than the lower part. So having done that, we'll go next by connecting the lines together, like a slant line together. So having done that, we are going to go next by placing numbers on them to avoid mix-up. Then after doing this, we'll just go ahead to cut it out. So the next thing to do is to get a more broader pattern, a wider one. So we are going to be gluing the first pattern, that is the center front. And having done that, we are going to determine the kind of fullness we want. you can use starting from 1 inches or even half if you don't want it to be very full, but for this I'll be considering about 1.5 inches. So having glued the first pattern to it, just like the way it's appearing by the camera, we'll add 1.5 inches at the lower part, and also at the upper part in which it ends, we'll add 1.5 inches. Then from that point we go next by gluing the next pattern. Then we're going to continue like that till we get to the last pattern. So we are just going to rule out the lines, draw the shoulder slope well, and having done that, we are going to cut it out just like the way it's appearing by the camera. So also for the fullness at the lower part, we are also going to be slashing and spreading it out. So we are going to be using 2 inches apart, just like we did for the upper part. We are going to connect it to the upper part of the basque. Then we are going to roll it out. We are going to place number on it also to differentiate it, and also we are going to be adding a seam allowance of about 0.5 inches at the upper part, and this is going to be used to join the lower part to the basque line. Then having done this, we are just going to slash it out. So just to minimize the pattern paper I'll be using, I decided to just spread it out directly on the fabrics for the lower part. So I just did it just like the way it's appearing by the camera, and I think I used a fullness of about 6 inches for the difference between each panel. So having done that, we connect it, then we just go ahead to cut it out just like the way it's appearing by the camera. So we'll be cutting out 2 pieces for that, the front and the back, and there will be no joining by the back. The joining will be just by the side. So that is how the lower part is going to go. So we'll be placing the upper pattern on the fabrics also to cut it out, but for the back, remember to close the extension while cutting the back, and that is how the upper part is going to be. So for us to cut the middle segments, I mean from the underbust down to the basque line, we are going to be cutting the center front on a fold, and we'll be cutting 2 pieces for that, and also we'll be adding seam allowance to join it at the upper part and also the basque at the lower part. So we'll just add a seam allowance of about 0.5 inches, we place it on another fabric, and we'll cut out the second part. So for the back, we are also going to be using the front pattern to cut the back, but just that for the back, we are going to be adding about 1 inches zip allowance. So the back is going to be having a zip, though the zip is going to be short, but that is going to enable us to be able to wear it, and also is going to enable us to be able to snatch the waistline very tight and firm. So we are going to be cutting 4 pieces for the back. We are going to be using 1 to turn 1. So the last thing we'll be cutting out is the rope rack at the shoulder, the rack that will be housing the rope. So for us to cut that, the length should be almost the same as the length of the shoulder. So you can just use the pattern to confirm the measurement. And for the width should be, you can just use about 1.5 inches. Though I used 2 inches here, but I ended up trimming it out because it was too wide. And also we're cutting out 4 pieces for that. So for the rope, I'm going to consider using this bias, and that is because the fabric should not be enough. Remember, the rope has to be longer than the shoulder so it does not pull inward. For the sewing, we are going to be joining the first panel of the front and the first panel of the back by the shoulder. We are going to make the right side face the right side, and also we are going to be stitching the rope rack alongside, though the rope rack is not going to be getting to the hem of the sleeve because we have to tape in the hem. So the rope rack is going to be ending about 1.5 inches before the sleeve. Then having done that, the hem of the sleeve, so having done that, we are just going to go ahead and fold the hem of the sleeve just like the way it's appearing by the camera. So to finish the hem of the rope rack, you go ahead to open up the front and the back. We open it up, then having done that, we are just going to fold it in. We are going to tape it in, and we are going to run a direct stitch on it with the main fabrics. So we are going to be taping in both sides of the rope rack. Then having done that, we can just go ahead and trim out the excesses by the shoulder so it can relax well. Then we are going to repeat the same thing we did for the first panel, that is the first front panel and the back, also at the second panel. The next thing to do is to go ahead and stitch down the rope. Just fold it into 2. We are going to be stitching it all along. Then having done that, using a safety pin, we'll just pass in the rope into the rope rack. We are going to be bringing it out towards the sleeve area, and at the neck side we are just going to be running a direct stitch to secure the rope with the neckline. So the rope is going to be 4, and we are going to be passing the first 2 inside the front and the back of the first panel and also for the other panel. So we are going to be passing the rope separately, and we are just going to be securing it together at the neckline. So to finish up the neckline, I cut out a straight strap like a bias, which will be stitched along the front and the back neckline. You can also use a facing to finish it up if you have enough fabrics. So after stitching it to the right side, connecting both the front and the back together, I went ahead to turn it to the other side, and I run a direct stitch on it with the main fabrics, and this is how it looks like. The next thing to do is to make the front overlap themselves. Firstly, we'll place a lunge at the center front, then having done that, we'll just run a direct stitch to secure both front panel overlap together. So after doing this, we'll take the middle piece of the center front, that is the one connecting the upper bodice to the lower one. We'll also place a lunge at the center. Then we go ahead to pleat the fullness of the upper part and the lower part, and we are going to be using the lunge as a guide. So just go ahead to pleat the excesses on it. So this is how it looks like after pleating the upper part on it. And to finish it up neatly, we'll take the second piece in which we cut out for the center front. Then we use it to cover it up by running a direct stitch alongside, just the same way we stitched down the first seam. We'll join it with the second seam. We'll join it directly on the seam. So we're going to be stitching it all through. But if you are using a lighter fabric, it's very advisable that you fuse it so that it can give a better result. But because this is crepe and it's very thick, I did not add fusing. But adding will not make it bad either way. So just stitch it all through. Then after stitching it, we are going to use it to close it up, just like the way it's appearing by the camera. Then we go ahead to run a direct stitch all across the end. So this is how it looks like after we are done. And also for the back, I've gone ahead to pleat the excess on the basque. Firstly, I pleat it on the first fabrics. Then after doing that, I use the second fabric to cover it up. And also note that the back neckline is not going to enter the zipper allowance. Then having done that, I went ahead to put in the zip. And also, if you are using a lighter fabric, it's very important that you fuse it so as to avoid zip bulging at the back. Remember that we did not put a dart. So because this is a crepe, it is very durable enough to avoid any form of zip bulging at the back. And this is how the back looks like as well. So the next thing to do is to pleat the fullness of the lower part on the middle piece. And for us to do that, we'll be placing the front separately from the back. So if you want to use a gathers, you can just go ahead and pull your gather stitch, then just gather it on the main fabrics. But for this, I use pleat. So just pleat the excess, launch the center to serve as a guide. Then we go ahead to pleat the excess all around the back. So the same thing, the same way we stitch the excess at the center front, we'll also be doing the same thing at the back. And the joining is just going to be by the side. So to finish it up, we are going to be joining the side seam. We are going to start the joining starting from the sleeve. We are going to take the measurement at the waist, then we are going to go ahead and join it all the way into the hem of the dress, and we're doing this for both sides of the dress, just like the way it's appearing by the camera. So the last thing to do is just to go ahead and fold the hem, and this is how it looks like, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I believe that you have learned a lot from this tutorial. Please do also subscribe, like. If you have any question, please you can drop it in the comment section, and I'll see you guys in my next video.